Welcome to this episode of Our Quest. This is Dimple Mehta, and today we would be talking about how to get clarity of thoughts. It's something that a lot of people struggle with, where we ourselves don't know what exactly do we want or what exactly does the thought mean. How to be able to deconstruct your thoughts and to actually understand what it is that you truly want. Let me begin with thanking you for taking out the time to be with us here today. And I hope this episode further contributes towards your growth. If you like the episode, give us a quick rating or review on Apple Podcasts. That helps the episode organically reach more people who might find it useful and beneficial. You can also screenshot and share on Instagram and tag us at dimple.ourquest. More people can then listen and benefit from these. Don't forget to subscribe to the show so that you get the latest episodes first. Joining us today for this wonderful discussion is the first mBraining trainer in UAE, experienced trainer and coach, master trainer for BNI Middle East, Wendy Shaw. Welcome to the show, Wendy. It's a pleasure to have you here. Before I dive into the questions, let's hear about your journey, your story.
Great, thank you very much. Okay, I arrived in Dubai back in 2000. My uncle was living here at that time, and my cousin visited him, and they had a chat in the garden. Said, "Why doesn't Wendy come to Dubai?" And I was working in London at the time, where it was cold and wet and miserable, and I sort of conquered my job. So I thought, why not? So I hopped on a plane and came over. Didn't have a job at that time. So I started in Dubai as hotel training manager, Crown Plaza Dubai. Then I became the area training manager for Intercontinental Hotels Group, UAE and Qatar. I left there 2006 and joined Matrix, which was my uncle's company. It was consultancy, and he had education under there as well. So I worked alongside Carol Talbot, who specialized in NLP programs. Mm-hmm. So I kept doing a lot of corporate training and started co-delivering the NLP programs. So NLP, timeline therapy, hypnosis. I loved them, went off and did trainers training. And I think I co-delivered about 35 NLP practitioners. Loved it. I also did the NLP coach programs. And I kind of got to that stage when you're thinking, what next? Mm-hmm. There's something else. Mm-hmm. And somebody mentioned there was this new modality about the head, the heart, and the gut. And I don't know about you, but when I hear something new, if I'm investing in myself, I want to know who's the trainer, what are the objectives, what am I going to get? Mm-hmm. And I do a lot of study. I just signed up.
Okay.
Paid. That was it. I registered. I just knew I had to do it. So I was lucky enough to work with Wilbert, and then I went on and did trainers training with one of the co-founders of mBraining back in the UK, and the two master trainers as well. And it's such a powerful modality because I used to do like a breakthrough coaching, mm-hmm. which would be a whole day working with somebody who's really stuck. Mm-hmm. So they're not happy in their work, their relationship isn't great, their health isn't great. So if it was in multiple areas of their life, mm-hmm. a breakthrough session would take a whole day. Mm. And you sort of get down to the root cause issue, and it kind of adjusted their values, and we kind of then rebuilt them, which was exhausting, very powerful. But with mBraining, I was getting very similar results in 45 minutes or an hour or 90 minutes, and it was just so impactful. I knew I had to do it. Mm-hmm. So I became the first mBraining trainer for here in the UAE. Mm-hmm. I set up mBraining Middle East. And yeah, I've been working on building and sharing these powerful mBraining tools ever since.
That's amazing. That's amazing. And we have seen how incredibly you share and you train. We've had workshops from you, and it's always going to leave you awestruck.
Oh, thank you.
Diving straight into the first question. It's a challenge faced by most people. We want something, but we always get stuck at the fact that we don't have enough clarity about it. Mm-hmm. Why do we often find ourselves with lack of mental clarity?
I think it's today's lifestyle. Everybody's so busy
Possible.
trying to cram everything in.
Mhm.
When we're not busy working, we're busy trying to catch up on social media. So how many different social media sites do you
Handles, yeah.
exactly?
Yeah.
When was the last time you managed to update your LinkedIn? And there's just so much happening, and that's just within work time.
Yeah.
Then you go home, and most people have families and friends and networks, and a lot of people also have like extended family staying with them. So yeah, it's life has got incredibly busy. So I think we get stressed simply because of our workloads. And how do you think straight when you've got so much to do?
You're just doing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Most people try and multitask.
Yeah.
And I know women, we're better than this
Yeah.
than men are.
Yeah.
But we're not so effective because we're not focused and present on one thing.
Yeah. Agreed.
So when it comes to clarity of thought, when you're trying to establish what do you want,
Mhm.
that should come from your heart. Your heart should lead, not
Yeah.
rule,
Yeah.
because your heart knows what's important to you. Your
Yeah.
values
Yeah.
sit in your heart.
Yeah.
So you don't think your way in love.
Yeah. Yeah.
You feel it.
Yes.
You can setting goals. So if you set a goal, we've all set goals and we've achieved them, but we've also set goals which we haven't achieved.
Yeah.
The ones that we don't achieve aren't so important to us. So
Yes.
they're not connected with our heart.
Yes.
So when it comes to head-based clarity, it's creating a space to think, to pause, to, this whole mindfulness has become such a big element of promoting mental health, because we become so disconnected.
Yes.
Because there's so much happening and we're just thinking. And I think the world today is pretty overwhelming. And,
it is.
With the pandemic as well, we've got all of this added unpredictability.
Yes.
Are you familiar with VUCA, the whole VUCA world? So the volatility, the uncertainty, complexity, and ambiguity.
Yeah,
so
it
all
came
of
with the
this-
pandemic. Yes.
Yes, all of this is so much unknown.
Yeah.
And it's overwhelming.
Yeah, it is.
So during the pandemic, we've started to check in with people. How are you doing? And it's become, I think it's raised a lot more awareness of mental health.
Yes.
Working from home has created a lot more work-life balance. And, this new normal, more people are wanting to work from home and to hang on to that balance.
Yeah.
People don't want to commute anymore.
Yes.
Yeah. It's unless you can use that commute for some, if you're driving and doing some learning, or if that's your kind of self time.
Yeah.
I really enjoy driving because I don't answer my phone.
Yeah.
And it's just my time.
Yeah.
So I can do some listening to podcasts, listening to things I've wanted to really home in on and that's just creating that space. So using that space purposefully. But really just sort of connecting with you.
Yeah. Sometimes, for example, while you're driving, you're just being being in that moment, and probably that's what helps you.
It's being present.
Yeah.
So it's all of this stress. It's, if you haven't slept well, it's hard to think clearly.
Yes.
Health issues, it's hard to think clearly. So, getting this clarity in our minds, well, from where I'm coming from, it's your multiple minds, really does need this pause, creating that space.
Yes.
and stepping back from this fast-paced world, and, taking a step back, taking a breath.
Beautifully said. Yes. And beautifully highlighted. It's not just the brain mind, it's all the three minds that you pointed out.
Yes, your head, your heart, and your gut.
The way you explain it, it sounds super simple, that just be in the present, yet so many people struggle with it, right? Why is it so important to have the clarity of thoughts? Why should one put the effort? Because we have all these lists of doing things and we're always busy. Why take a step back? Why just simply drive and be? Why to put that effort to have that space to get the clarity of thoughts?
Oh, we can become so busy doing.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we're always busy. We're always doing this and doing that. Our to-do lists, and it's very action-based.
Mm-hmm.
So taking that step back
Mm-hmm.
allows you to consider, who am I being? So how am I showing up? We can go from back-to-back meetings and we just take all of our stresses from one place into another place. That's not operating at our best.
Yeah.
So it's really about, how am I being me? How am I being Wendy? Before I step into this meeting, how do I want to be? And becoming more mindful and present.
Mm-hmm.
You know, how can we connect with our family and our kids if we're still thinking about, oh, I need to cook the dinner, wash the dishes, got washing to do, need to sort things out for tomorrow, have to answer this email, have to check my Facebook, must respond to that WhatsApp message. We're just too busy doing, where we're not taking the time out and really sort of reconnected with, who am I being while I'm doing this? Or who am I choosing to be? Because we can all have a busy life, but that busy life might not be a quality life.
Exactly. Yeah.
So that's why it's important to become more present and become more aware, and to be able to create those spaces where you can get more clarity of thought. Because how can we tap into our own wisdom if we're not, or if we're just too busy with, often we end up responding to what's happening in the world.
Yeah.
So if we're constantly reacting to external things, then we're just not sort of creating the life that we want. So to be able to turn that around, it takes us a moment to step back and, you know, really connect with what's truly important here.
Just zoom out from the picture. Get a better perspective. Like you beautifully said, that if we are just doing things, we're just running around and we're just at the superficial level. We need to have a better quality of life, and for that we need to go inside us instead of just being involved in the external realities. Right? So how can a person get the clarity of thoughts? What does one have to do?
Oh, it's hitting that pause button, isn't it? It's being able to create that space that's going to allow you to explore. The quickest and easiest way is to stop and take a nice deep breath. So you've created a pause, and just becoming more aware of our breathing. It's, if we think about our autonomic nervous system, when we're busy and stressed, our heart rate picks up, and you know, we're very active. We operate in sympathetic mode a lot of the time. And then at the end of the day, we're exhausted, we go to bed and we sleep, and we go into sympathetic mode. So breathing methods, modalities, exercises, all of that helps you take more control and become more aware. So whether you do yoga, whether you do different breathing practices, I find the quickest, easiest one is to do balanced breathing, because balanced breathing gets you in between that parasympathetic and the sympathetic and creates that space.
Okay, the moment when you hold the breath, that's the space.
No, it's not about holding breath. There are some very effective breathing techniques, where the box technique, where you breathe in for 4 seconds, hold for 4 seconds, out for 4 seconds. By balanced breathing, I mean the optimum is breathe in for 6 seconds.
Okay.
It's a long time. And then breathe out for 6 seconds.
Okay.
But it's finding what works for you.
Yes.
So if, you know, I started off, I think it's like 4 seconds in.
Okay.
But it's just slow, deep and even. There's no stopping, no starting, no holding.
And then it becomes natural on its own.
And whatever your in-breath, do the same duration for the out-breath.
Okay.
And once you find what's comfortable for you, start stretching it. So I think, the optimum, as I say, is 6 seconds in, 6 seconds out. I think I'm on about 9 seconds in.
Wow.
And 9 seconds out. And Grant Susalu, one of the co-founders of mBraining, he got up to 12 seconds in.
Wow, that's
12
deep.
seconds out. Absolutely. I use a heart rate monitor, heartmath.com. They do a lot of research about the coherence of the heart. And by doing this balanced breathing, you can create this beautiful variance in your heart level. If you're not focusing on your breath, it's very intermittent. But to create this smooth, deep and even is really powerful and a beautiful place to be.
Yeah.
So yes, I'd say breathing.
Yes.
But it's really self-care.
Yeah. So not just breathing.
It's having a good diet.
Yes.
It's exercising. It's taking time out to take care of yourself. Breathing, we do it anyway, but to become more aware of it, more conscious. And I think that's the real key, becoming more conscious of what does my body need. I'm a bit of a chocoholic. I can get to the mid-afternoon, it's like, that bit of downtime and the energy goes down. It's like, I could do with some chocolate right now.
Yeah.
Because that brings my energy back up. So it's checking in. How am I feeling?
Yeah.
What does my body need?
Yeah.
Do you know Dr. Odie?
Nope, sorry.
Okay, he's based in Abu Dhabi. He's a chiropractor, very connected with BNI, but he wrote a book called Eatology.
Okay.
And Eatology is kind of reprogramming your body and your relationship with eating.
Okay.
So, which blends beautifully with what I teach in mBraining, because I eat regularly, because growing up it was like, gotta have your breakfast.
Yeah.
Most important meal of the day.
Yeah.
It's tea time. So we kind of become programmed to eat according to the clock.
Yes.
Rather than eating
as per
because
what you
we need to eat.
Yeah, that's
so if we
so
think
nice.
about how much obesity there is in the world right now. So Dr. Odie and his sister actually wrote this book called Eatology, which explores and kind of rebuilds and reconnects your relationship and awareness. So it's about eating when your gut tells you, I'm hungry, feed me. So I know when I first read that book, it was really kind of, I gotta practice this. And I was waiting for my tummy to talk.
To tell you that now is the time when I need the food.
3 days.
Really?
3 days until my gut said, I'm hungry, feed me.
Wow.
I mean, I was drinking water, I was drinking tea, coffee, but I didn't have any solid food for 3 days. So that was kind of resetting myself.
Yeah.
And having that awareness and then taking it a step further, well, what I fancy?
Yeah.
Is it sweet? Is it sour? Is it savory? What am I craving for right now?
Yeah.
So that was really interesting to sort of go through that and just, what does my body deeply need, rather than, grabbing a sandwich and just eating what's convenient.
Yeah.
Because we're so busy.
Yeah.
We eat more fast foods.
Yes.
And we know they're not usually the best for us.
Yes.
So, it's our whole, what's our relationship with food? What's our relationship to how we respond to other people? There's another chapter in his book. It's about dealing with relationships.
Okay.
With family.
Okay.
How do you tell your mum, I'm not hungry, my tummy's not hungry,
oh, yes.
Thank you very much.
Mum's gonna be, you must eat.
Yeah, but I cooked your favorite.
Yeah.
But I'm not hungry.
Yeah.
So it's how we interact and respond to others.
Yeah.
And do we speak up for ourselves? Are we being assertive and saying thank you, no thank you?
Saying no is such a challenge for so many.
Yeah. So some fascinating things there, just in terms of, how do we take care of ourselves?
It's so in depth, Wendy, and it's so nice that you've highlighted this, that getting clarity of thoughts is not just about, I want to know something and I'll read some books, I'll do some research and I'll get it. You have to take care of yourself. You have to be connected with yourself. You have to make sure you're eating right. You're having your relationships right. It's so in depth.
Yeah. And it's working out what's going to work for me.
Yeah.
And it takes a lot of practice and a lot of being present and being aware. It's almost like stepping out of yourself and looking back and thinking, okay, right, what does she need to do?
Yeah.
So I know a couple of years ago, I went through a really tough time and I was so stressed. My gut was screaming at me. I lost so much weight so quickly because my gut was saying there's something wrong, there's something wrong. And my head wasn't listening and my heart was all over the place. And just taking myself out every Friday, the old weekend, I'd take myself to the beach with a blank book and I would just breathe, connect with the ocean. I think it's the ocean, the waves, that is very kind of regular and so soothing. It's how I sort of reconnect. And I just do the mBraining process. Doing the balance breathing.
Yes, along with those waves.
Yeah. Checking in with my heart. What's truly important to me? How am I feeling? What other people are involved? So how am I relating to other people? So these are what we call the prime functions of our heart. So starting with what's important, how am I feeling about it? And then exploring my head, which is best at ideas, creativity, options, possibilities. So, what are all the possible things I could do? And from all of those, then checking back in with the heart, out of all of those, which ones align best with what's truly important to me? And then dropping down to my gut, and okay, what action am I going to take? Which of these is most like me? Or what best for me? So your gut is all about taking action and moving forwards. So and I did that for each and every area of my life, and I come up with an action plan.
Wow.
So then I've got my to-do list. But it's based on what's truly important to me.
And you're well connected with your inner self.
And taking care of myself in the process, and listening to my gut and feeding it and nurturing it, because we are what we eat.
And that must be making you so happy and fulfilled as well, because now your gut is happy with you.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
So let's say I follow all these beautiful advices that you just shared and I put it to practice and I get the clarity for whatever is the question on my mind right now, and I'm happy with it. Is getting the clarity just once enough?
Oh, no. You don't eat one meal and expect it to keep you going for ages. It's about practice, repetition. For us to get good at anything, we need to repeat it. How do we become naturally good at something? We kind of bring it into how we do our daily life. So it's creating those spaces, creating those moments. Driving, when somebody cuts you up in traffic, how do you respond?
Could be rage, could be frustration.
Stop and take a breath. Before stepping into a meeting, stop and take a breath. So just do that check-in. Before doing a podcast, stop and take a breath. So it's getting into a calm, balanced state where you can operate from your best. Rather than sort of being stressed out because I couldn't find a parking space, and that's going to make me late for the meeting, and then that the whole thing sort of falls over and spreads on top of you, and you become stressed. So it's taking your time out and finding those moments when you can just recalibrating ourselves to be operating from our best. So that can be sort of getting your mind straight, having some positive thoughts and setting your intention for the day. And we know life happens. Things are going to crop up before an important meeting. Stop and take a breath, sort of recalibrate. Before answering a phone call, stop and take a breath. So it's about getting into your best state before you answer that call, before you
action whatever.
Exactly. So you can do that just by practice and being conscious of it. So you've got to bring it into your awareness. All right, this is important to me. How do I want to be? Let's just take a breath, get to my best self. I know teaching sort of presentation skills, and one of the tips, I never quite agreed with it, is like go to the bathroom first, hand on hips, and do some Wonder Woman poses. And, yeah, but that's more about getting your energy in the right state
Yes.
and tapping into your confidence.
Yes.
You can do that much more naturally
Yes.
just by, recalibrating yourself and operating at your best.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Beautiful word you used, that you have to consciously bring it into practice. So
Mm.
basically you have to bring it into your everyday lifestyle. And another beautiful highlight from you here is that it's about relinquishing control over the small things, the petty things, the parking guy didn't work out or whatever, somebody cut you through the
Yeah.
road. Like, those petty things should not be able to trigger you for to change what's going on inside your mind.
Yeah, don't sweat the small stuff.
Yeah.
How important is it really?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, life is going to happen. We are going to get challenges. That's guaranteed.
Yeah, that's life.
Yeah.
Yes.
And it's all we do have control of is how we choose to respond.
Yes.
So by having that choice, knowing it's a choice first of all.
Yes.
But then becoming more mindful and aware, how am I going to choose to be? So how can I be my best self? Sometimes it's sort of, raising ourselves up a bit, and, we don't need to come down to other people's level. Responding to a comment, is it really necessary? Picking picking the important battles.
Yes.
Is another one.
Yes.
Yeah, we don't want to argue and push everything.
Yeah.
Just, let people live and get on with it.
That's amazing.
If it impacts me, I'm going to be assertive. I'm going to speak up. This is important to me.
Yes. Yes.
Part.
If you resonate with it.
Yeah.
Yes. Exactly. Yeah. I try and put all of this into practice. I picturize myself, and it looks like I can possibly do most of the things that you just suggested. But I'm an emotional person. I have a family and other things with which I'm emotionally connected, and those emotions are important to me.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes not all emotions are positive. Sometimes I'm super sad. Sometimes I'm super upset. Sometimes I'm super angry, and it happens. What to do when emotions cloud us? Can we still have mental clarity? How to get the mental clarity when we are so clouded with emotions?
Oh, yeah. First of all, emotions kind of prove that we're alive. If we have no feelings, what's the point? Emotions are, what we think about impacts how we feel.
Mhm.
How we feel impacts how we behave.
Yes.
So, you can change your state quite easily by standing up, going for a jog, doing something physically is going to change how you feel.
Really? It's really that
Absolutely.
simple?
Yes and no.
Okay.
Yeah. I think emotions are very valid. I know a lot of people have, at the very start of the pandemic, we all faced a loss. We've gone through a grieving process.
Yes, we did.
So there's a lot of stress, there's a lot of sadness, there's a lot of, and people have dipped into depression as well. So it's acknowledging these feelings are true for you, but it's also sort of, okay, allowing yourself to feel that, but sometimes giving ourselves a time limit. We don't want to wallow in it.
Yeah.
So even scheduling time.
Yeah.
And sort of scheduling a phone call with somebody who's going to help lift you out of that.
Yes.
Just being around them makes you feel good.
Yes.
So it's how you choose to allow your emotions to flow and not overwhelm you.
I get it. So I'm not supposed to push the emotion that, no, I'm not allowed to feel it. Neither am I going to let the emotion have more power on me. I'm just supposed to let the emotion flow.
Allow it. Allow your emotions to, allow yourself to express the emotions.
And come out.
Yeah.
So flow, but come out within a reasonable time without taking more power over me. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's, one of the dangers when, we hear about people bottling their emotions. If we push emotions down, they don't disappear.
Yeah, they're there.
They build, they
Yes.
grow,
Yes.
and then they turn into something bigger.
Yes.
So finding ways to express emotions is a way of getting them out of your body.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's also attitude as well. We can get quite hooked onto, oh, I feel sad, and then that sadness turns into everything I see, I end up, it's all a bit negative.
Mm-hmm.
And then if you just keep focusing on the negative, that's all you can see.
Mm-hmm.
And we know that perception is projection.
Yeah.
So if we're looking for negative, we actually attract more negative.
Yeah.
I remember sort of growing up, way back when I was a child. I remember there was one day I was writing a letter to both of my grandmothers.
Okay.
And I was quite lucky to actually have this awareness, but to have two very different grandmothers.
Okay.
So writing to my paternal grandmother, she was a bit of a doom and gloom, always concerned about the weather. She lived in Cornwall, it rained a lot. Bit of a hypochondriac, had a lot of issues. And writing to her, I remember, I was telling her, oh, well, school's pretty tough and it's raining and this is happening and this is where I'm struggling. This is what's not great in my life right now. Yeah. Because I knew that was her interest.
Yes.
And then exactly the same day, I'm writing to my maternal grandmother, who's super positive, and I'm telling her all everything that's great in my life.
Yeah.
And I remember I was 7, 8 years old, looking at these two letters thinking, oh my God, I'm crazy. How can I be these two very different people
at the same time?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that was a bonus for me, sort of being able to identify, well, that's important to Granny and that's important to Nanny.
Yeah.
So I was building rapport with each of them.
Right.
But I was focusing on what each of them wanted to hear. So, being aware of the negatives.
Yeah.
And, looking for the good things.
Yes.
So I think feeding forward, that self-reflection, the end of every day, what went well today?
Yeah.
What could I do tomorrow to make it even better? So focusing on the positive and exploring the positive. I do this with every coaching client. At the end of the session, it's like, okay, what did we do well? And what could we do to make it even better next time?
Yeah.
And then afterwards, I also reflect on myself as a coach. As a coach, what did I do well? What could I do to make it better next time? So always looking for areas to improve on after picking up on the positive. Because we can beat ourselves over the head. We can be so self-critical.
Yes.
Oh, you did that wrong and you did that wrong and you screwed that up and you shouldn't have done that. So you actually pull yourself down.
Yeah.
So if we just focus on the good bits, I know you're very familiar with NLP, kids. We know from NLP that our unconscious mind cannot process negations.
Yes. It's literal. Yes.
So with kids, tell them what you want them to do,
not what you don't
want them to do. Don't do this, don't do that, you turn into a nag.
Yeah.
And they're not hearing it anyway.
And they won't follow it anyways.
Exactly.
Yes.
Exactly. So tell them what you want them to do is, and same with adults as well. So getting much clearer in our own communication to ourselves and to others, I'd say is key.
Yeah.
But it's having that kindness with it as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Wendy, for these insightful and deep thoughts, which you have said so beautifully and made it sound so simple. Just by having this conversation with you right now, I have got clarity for so many things which were questions on my mind for so long. So thank you.
You're so welcome. Yeah. And keep that, that awareness. I say my top tips, always be curious.
Mm-hmm.
So being curious about other people. When somebody is upset at you, it's not personal. It's usually they're upset at the situation. So having that curiosity, I'd say the most challenging thing in this world is that we're all people and we're all unique. We all have very different experiences of life. We might even have different values. So it's not about getting on with everybody, but it's having this curiosity, what makes people tick, and having this big want and need to explore, how do I tick? What makes me tick? How do I want to be ticking? And exploring new ways of becoming better and better.
More and more of you.
Absolutely. Yeah. Because you're the only person that you have control over.
Absolutely.
So explore, how can you be your best and really have your best life? Yeah.
You have been listening to Our Quest. Thank you for your time again. If you haven't already, please give us a quick rating on Apple Podcast. And don't forget, you can follow us on Instagram or share your screenshot of the podcast and tag us. Links in description. See you next week, same time, same place.